Welcome into the Bonesville Pregame Podcast. Al Myatt, joined by Kevin Monroe. Kevin, of course, great defensive back in his playing days in East Carolina and now part of the East Carolina Radio Network. And the Pirates will be taking on NC State in the Military Bowl. That's a Saturday, 5:45 p.m. kickoff at Navy Marine Corps Stadium in Annapolis. And ironically, I suppose, the last game the Pirates played of the regular season was against Navy in Greenville, and the midshipmen pretty dominant in a 34-20 win. So East Carolina will have to make some adjustments moving forward from that. NC State is 6-6, gaining bowl eligibility the last game of the regular season with a 35-30 win in Chapel Hill. And these programs have some history, of course, and they've met before in a bowl game in the Peach Bowl following the 1991 season. Probably the greatest game in East Carolina history, 37-34 win for the Pirates. They trailed by 17 points with just over 8 minutes remaining in that contest. The last football game ever played at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And East Carolina with a very memorable victory in that, completing an 11-1 season in 1991 to finish ranked number 9 in the country. But immediately, Kevin, the Pirates have had to make some adjustments, I'm sure, from that regular season-ending loss to Navy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sticks out mostly is that the Pirates just kind of left some plays on the field. You had some overthrows by Caden Hauser. You had some drops by receivers. There's opportunities to score touchdowns, especially early in that Navy game, that unlike the previous 4 games, they found a way not to make those plays, which I think is a little bit concerning for offensive coordinator John David Baker and Pirate fans, because you saw he took a step backwards. We give Navy credit; they played good defense, and they didn't allow the Pirates to get any very many big plays, and they capitalized offensively when they had their opportunity. So that's just one of those games where you want to kind of flush it and not worry about it anymore, and hope that you play like you played in the previous, games against North Texas and Tulsa and teams like that. So I think they'll be fine offensively. I think they've proven, through this 7-5 record that they, can score 30 points a game with no issue and have playmakers all around the field. But that last game is one they want to forget about. As it pertains to the NC State ECU rivalry, I mean, it's a big one. It's one that involves every Eastern North Carolina kid, every statewide kid that was recruited by both teams. I myself was recruited by both teams, and it really just came down to, the Pirates showing me the most love and offering me first, and my decision to come to East Carolina. But while I was there, we beat the Wolfpack twice, and so 2 out of 3 times. So for me, that was a great feeling. It was one that kind of validated my decision to come here. And for guys like Anthony Smith and others that were either at NC State or recruited by NC State, this will be a big game for them. This will be a game that'll be on their minds. Every play, every opportunity to make a play to win this game against the Wolfpack. This rivalry is huge. I played in it, as I said, 3 times, and the last home game of my senior year was against NC State in Greenville, and we got that victory. So certainly games that you don't remember as a Pirate.
23-6 win over the Wolfpack in Greenville, 1999. That team went 9-3 and has been recognized this year on its 25th anniversary. Kevin, as far as the matchup this year, the transfer portal is playing a role in rosters to an extent we've probably never seen in college football bowl season. East Carolina is going to be without linebacker Zakai Barker, without defensive back Isaiah Brown-Murray, and without defensive lineman C.J. Mims. They've all gotten in the portal. And you don't have to look back very far to remember what IBM did in the Tulsa game. Touchdown saving tackle in a 1-score game and sealing the win for the Pirates. And then Zakai Murray had to sit out the first half at North Texas because he was ejected at Tulsa, and came on in the third quarter, early in the third quarter, fumble causing hit, and part of a big momentum shift as the Pirates came from down 21-0 to top the Mean Green on the road. And so without those two guys, and we saw what being without Revel and the adjustments that caused, and he's headed to the NFL. So that next man up philosophy, that's going to be big for the Pirates.
Yeah, there's no question. And Coach Harrell says it all the time. But, Zakai Barker was just an outstanding player at linebacker. He was the guy who wore the piece in the helmet that gets the information from the coaches, and he tells the defense where to line up. And so you lose that. And I think Mike Edwards is going to take on that role now. IBM was the guy that stepped up when Ravel went down, as you mentioned, the star corner early in the season. And he kind of picked up that role of being the shutdown corner, and teams were going at Nash and Lamp instead of coming to IBM side because he was playing so well over there. So he will definitely be missed. Those two guys in the portal, and Mims, he was never really a starter, but he gave you that depth on the D-line position. And so he'll be missed, but he'll be more easily replaced because, like I said, he wasn't really a starter. So they'll have, guys that are currently, Ware and Johnson, and those guys will step up and just and make plays, and that shouldn't affect them as much. We don't mention Winston Wright because he's not a portal guy, but he is a guy that was on this team and has declared early for the draft and is not going to play in this game. And so that's another one that you miss just because of the way things are done these days with bowls and portals and guys not want to get hurt. And so that's a big one as well. But there was, a couple games, late in the season where both Winston Wright and Anthony Smith were out, and guys like Jari Patterson stepped up. Guys like Yannick Smith stepped up, and so those would be the guys that you'd be looking to, to step in and make plays and to pick up where those guys kind of have left holes. And you look at the opposite side of the ball. In Casey Concepcion, the star receiver from NC State, won't be playing. He's in the transfer portal, and he's got 6 touchdowns on the year, 3 more than the closest guy on the team. He's got 13 more receptions than anybody else. So he's been the guy that young C.J. Bailey has been looking at, when he's in trouble to get the ball to him. And, they structured their offense around him a little bit. So that's a big hole for the Wolfpack. So it goes on both sides.
And State will also be without defensive coordinator Tony Gibson. He's the new head coach at Marshall. And so Freddie Autry-Lindsay will be stepping up in that role. He's been on the defensive staff and played at NC State. So he'll be making the play calls for the defensive unit. Kevin, it would have been nice in 1999 if LaDainian Tomlinson had declared for the NFL draft and missed the Mobile Bowl, but be that as it may, we've got a lot of voids that we'll see how that plays out in the Military Bowl on Saturday evening. Quarterbacks, neither team is playing with QB1 at the outset of the 2024 season. Caton Hauser, transfer from Michigan State, is playing quarterback for the Pirates, and he's done a great job the last 6 games, generally speaking. And NC State will counter with a freshman, C.J. Bailey, and he stepped in for Grayson McCall when his career came to an end earlier in the season. So both of these quarterbacks have had time to acclimate as starters, and both have done a good job getting their teams bowl eligible.
Yeah, I'll start with Hauser. I mean, as a Pirate fan and in the media, those first several games of the season were tough. Not because Jake Garcia couldn't do the job. It's just that, he tried so hard to make plays that sometimes he put the Pirates in bad situations. Those early 12 interceptions on the season, and we kind of played us out of a couple games, especially early on against teams like Liberty and it was one other game earlier that we lost. That was App State. Yeah. We should have won that. We kind of played our way out of, and so Hauser was kind of that piece that settled things down. He didn't make the crazy throws. He's had his turnovers. I don't want to say he's not a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. He does have 9 interceptions on the season, but on a lot more throws, and he's put the team in good opportunities and taken advantage of it. He's got 18 touchdown passes on the season. So he's been a quality player. He's completed over 60% of his passes, and he's been accurate for the most part. He's had some off moments. He had some off moments in the Navy game, but for the most part, he's been a solid player that puts the ball on the money and gives his receivers an opportunity to catch the football. So definitely been a blessing, and he's been a guy that East Carolina has been able to count on over these last 5-6 weeks. C.J. Bailey came in a little bit earlier in the season when their first-string quarterback went down, and he's been good. I mean, they don't put as much on him. He's not looked at to make as many plays. He's throwing for about 198, 199 yards per game, but he's completing at a 64% clip, which is great. And he doesn't turn the ball over a ton, and he will make some mistakes. He can run the football as well, but he's been a guy with the running game behind him that's been able to step in and make some plays and get some wins, including none bigger than that. The last one of the season against UNC Chapel Hill. So CJ Bett's a guy that can get it done as well. So they will be counting on him to make plays on Saturday, and as well as the Pirates be counting on Caden Hauser.
Absolutely. And then, generally speaking, with the scheduling format that is currently in place, you have to wait 3 years between state ECU games, and the last meeting in Greenville, 2021 or 2022 rather. NC State took a 21-20 win in Greenville, and that one came down to a makeable field goal that went wide right for the Pirates in the final seconds. But after this Military Bowl, State of East Carolina will meet again in Raleigh to start the 2025 season.
Yeah, that usually never happens. And matter of fact, if I was a betting man, I would have said there's no way that a bowl matches us up together, knowing that we play in the first game of the new season. And for whatever reason, the Military Bowl didn't really care about that so much, and they like the in-state rivalry. They like the proximity of both teams to Annapolis. They like the fact that both teams travel well. They just thought it would be a good game all around, and it's hard to disagree with them. Any other time, I think I would agree with them. Just the fact that the game is the first game of next year makes it a little bit different, a little bit difficult. But for Pirate fans, this is a Pirate team that didn't play many FBS teams of higher quality this year. That's to take nothing away from the Charlottes and the Liberties and the App States and all teams in our conference. They're all good quality opponents, as high quality as East Carolina is. But we're just used to playing, the States, the Carolinas, the Virginia Techs, the West Virginias, all these teams that we've built a legacy of playing over the years and competing with and beating. We haven't had those on the schedule, especially this year. And so to get an opportunity to play NC State and to show where we stack up against them, I think that, this is a fairly even game going in. I think they are 6 or 7 point favorites, but I think most people will tell you this is going to be a close game. And the team that's able to get stops late will be the team that wins the game. But certainly, as a fan, as somebody in the media, you'd love to see this game because it's had such stark history, as you mentioned, the Peach Bowl game, my game in 1999, so on and so forth. The game that Magazoo had the interception to end it. There's just been a lot of good games over the years that you can look back to and say, man, the Pirates and NC State have had some battles. So it'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely. And then East Carolina has had some success at Navy Marine Corps Stadium in Annapolis. In terms of the Navy series, East Carolina has never won in Greenville, and they have 2 wins at the home of the midshipmen. So maybe that'll be a factor in the favor of the Pirates.
That'd be cool. I mean, it's just a sense of familiarity. Excited that you're not playing Navy because we've had such a rough time just playing them in general, but on the road, in what can be considered a neutral site game for both teams, but in a place that you've played in several times before. I don't know how many times NC State has played there, but it's a place that's familiar to the Pirates, and so that always helps when you go into a ball game to have some familiarity.
Kevin, we mentioned, of course, that State will be working with an interim defensive coordinator. I don't suppose that Freddie Autry-Lindsay has tried to reinvent the wheel and do a whole lot in bowl preparation. What do you look for there?
Yeah, I think, he's been on staff for a while. That whole team of coaches has been on staff for a while for the most part. They've had a coach here or there leave, taking a new job. They've had some guys take head jobs over the years since Doran's been there. He's got a pretty solid coaching tree set up over there. But for the most part, those guys have all been together for a while. And so I would expect that Autry-Lindsay would just step in and kind of keep it status quo. This is a defense that's played well this season. I mean, they're not giving up a ton of yards. I think 140 on the ground and about 230 through the air. The point has been an issue. They're giving up 30 points a game. And in this day and age, you're going to lose more than you win when you give up 30. You'd like to get that number down to 18 to 21. It's hard to do that, but giving up 30 is a recipe for losses. And so they've given up some situations where giving some scores they probably wouldn't have liked to. And so we'll see if he comes in and decides to change up some of the blitz packages and coverages and do a few things different just to kind of put his own mark He's playing for a coaching change position himself. I mean, he wants to be the new guy next year, and so he's showing them what he can do. And so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I would not expect too many changes with this team. Having played 12 games under the same person coming in this bowl game, you don't want to make it too difficult for them. The last thing you want to do for a team is to make them think a lot when on the field. You want them to just play free and play fast.
Anthony Smith, premier receiver for the Pirates. He came from the NC State program, and Wolfpack coach Dave Doran said he liked Smith personally and had been following his success this year and was hopeful that he wouldn't have too much success on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope the opposite. I hope he goes nuts. It's just one of those situations where they had a lot of good talent. Maybe if they hadn't had Casey Concepcion, maybe Anthony Smith gets a lot more playing time. But he's been a blessing for the Pirates. I mean, he's been the big play threat. He's got the most receptions on the season. He's got the second most touchdowns on the team. He's got the most yards per catch, over 20 yards per catch. So he's been the deep ball threat. He's been the guy that's brought that ball in and made some plays when the Pirates really needed it. So he had a couple games, I think, where he's banged up. But for the most part, when he's out there playing and playing well, he's hard to stop. And he's a guy that he's a speed guy. So you have to be concerned at where he is on the field at all times. If you're in man-to-man press coverage, is more than likely he can run past any corner you put in front of him. If you got a safety inside, you might want to cheat that way. So teams have had to kind of game plan against him like that. And I know Dave Doran knows all too well how talented he is. And they're going to pay a lot of attention to him.
Absolutely. And then we've got another offensive standout who's been around. He hadn't jumped in that portal and he hadn't retired because of adversity. And, of course, that's Rajay Harris, running back. He'll be playing his last game for the Pirates, and you'd like to see a storybook ending to his career.
Yeah, love Rajay. I think earlier in his career, his freshman year, he get close to 1,000 yards as well. And this game should put him over 1,000. He's at 946, 947 right now. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. Just doing what Rajay does. I mean, he runs the ball hard. He's got the breakaway speed to run away from guys when he hits that open patch. But he also can run between the tackles and run over guys. The thing I love about him the most, as big as he is, he's got quick feet, so he can make those moves in the hole to make his own path. And so he's shown us all those things, all his abilities this season. Averaged about 80 yards a game, and so you hope that he finishes his career the right way and has a 100-yard game and lead the Pirates to a win over NC State. But he's definitely been the guy that's kept the Pirates, surging forward this season in games where they couldn't run the ball. Those have been losses. The games where he's shown up and played well and they've given him opportunities, the Pirates have won football games. So hopefully they continue to do that on Saturday.
That'll be an interesting factor to watch on Saturday. And then, of course, John David Baker, compared to the offensive struggles last year, the Pirates have really made a dramatic improvement with his up-tempo offense. And he brought in a new offensive line coach, and I think the play up front has been superior to the 2023 season. But a lot to put together on Saturday, and we'll see how it unfolds from Navy Marine Corps Stadium. Let's talk about that Bonesville tradition, Kevin's keys to the game.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern lies in the corners. Although they've got guys like Wilson Lamp and Nash and Tamir that have played a lot this season, they haven't been the best players this season. IBM, Ravel earlier on, have made plays, but those guys have struggled some. I like Wilson Lamp the most out of that bunch, but that's my biggest concern. So you look at a young quarterback in TJ Bailey that has the ability to throw the deep ball, that can make some plays with his arm. He's got a lot of talented receivers out there he can get the football to. So the Pirates in the back end have to be solid. Don't want to see them in too many press man, one-on-one situations. I hope they have some safety help. They can't give up the deep ball downfield, the ball over their head. They got to keep this offense in the game, at the East Carolina offense, and they got to allow this defense to have a chance to get stops. And the only way to do that is to play tough in that back end. So that's where it starts. I think that was my most concern. Offensively, I feel like the Pirates have to get on them early, get on them quick, make some throws downfield, complete some of those passes they missed in the Navy game, show their attacking ability, just kind of win that big play threat in the game. So find a way to get the ball to Anthony Smith and Jari Patterson and Yannick Smith and those guys to make plays early in the game and continue to put pressure on NC State. And then a turnover battle. The turnover battle is going to be huge. It is in every game, but essentially, especially in a rivalry game, the team that returns the ball over less is going to be the team that wins this football game. So the Pirates have to find ways to get their hands on the football. If it's running back, stripping it out, or if it's a pass, get a tip ball and interception and taking care of it offensively when we have the ball is going to be the only way the Pirates are going to win this game.
Very good, Kevin. And as always, I enjoyed visiting with you on the Bonesville Pregame Show, and we'll look forward to doing it again to start the 2025 season when we'll be talking about another matchup between East Carolina and NC State.
It's been an awesome season, Al. Enjoyed doing this with you as always. Hopefully the Pirates can finish with a win. Appreciate it.
God bless you.